Welcome back. All right, so the game tonight in Sudbury, Elliott Lake winning Kraft Hockeyville, and so for Hockeyville tonight, both teams pretty veteran lineups. More veterans, I think, in the lineup for the Penguins than for Ottawa. But either way, it was an entertaining game at points. It did feel kind of preseasony, especially once we got into the third period. But that's kind of the standard with preseason. So it's Jari versus Forsberg. There's an early press by the Senators. Jari pretty sharp early on here. Good pace to the game as well. Stützle has a net drive that saved. Cousins was denied the first time. And then Batherson gets a turnover, gets it over to Cousins, and Cousins buries it the second time. So at 4 minutes exactly, Ottawa's up 1-0. And I thought maybe that was a bit of a wake-up call for the Penguins, who looked a little bit out of sorts. Now, this is where it's important for me to mention a lot of the Penguins veterans. This was their first preseason game. I'm not saying it wasn't a preseason game for Ottawa players who may not have been as used to their line mates or anything. Just it would explain why Pittsburgh got better as the game went along. So Bunting's denied on a 2-on-1 rush. Batherson to Gregg. There's a near miss there. Sends press at 5.5 minutes. Jari holds on with traffic at the net. Stützle fires one high as the Senators press for some more. But then, kind of against the flow of play, Pittsburgh ties it. It's Crosby burying one in close on a net feed. Letang and Beauvillier with the assists at 8:55. Anthony Beauvillier, of course, being signed by Pittsburgh. And we'll see how long he's there this season. Just because he was with 3 different teams this past season, right? So Malkin's denied as the momentum starts to turn a bit. Then there's too many sends on the ice. So the Penguins get a power play. Their power play early in this game was not great. Malkin has a 3-on-2 chance that's held. Beauvillier has a chance that deflects out. Power play killed off. It had one shot on net. Bunting's robbed after it's done. McEwen to Stapchuk, near miss. And then at 12:55, Stützle wires one short side. It was a nice play, too. He goes from the blue line towards the net. And Giroux and Hamonic with the assists on that one. So that makes it a 2-1 lead for the Ottawa Senators. Malkin nearly responds. The Sens then press with 6 minutes left. There's a post for Bernard Docker from the point, and it's kind of a scrambly final few minutes in the game. So we go to the second period with Ottawa ahead 2-1. Grzelcyk has a screenshot that's saved as the Penguins press early. Sens, they end up drawing themselves a power play. The Penguins prevent an early setup. There's a near miss for Pinto. Power play looked pretty good late. Again, they couldn't get much setup early, but they looked good late. The Penguins kill it off. 4 shots for Ottawa on that power play. Teams trade rushes after that's done. Hamonic's denied from the slot. There's some pushy, sticky. Renouf, ties up with Tkachuk. No punches were thrown in that. We go to 4-on-4. I just don't think Tkachuk sees any point in fighting in the preseason. And he's not wrong. That's a very smart decision on Tkachuk's part. Penguins press during the 4-on-4, but the Sens block, keep him to the outside. Batherson has a rush chance, that's kicked aside, and the Sens then go to the power play. There's a blocker save on Pinto, puck's cleared out. Glass was denied on a shorthanded goal attempt. There's a post for Gregg. He had an open net there. Ridley Gregg needs to show a little more finish than what he did this past season, where he had 13 goals. It was kind of a disappointing season for him. So it's up to Gregg to have a good season and prove that he is a future top 6 forward and going to be a fixture for the Sens. Power play was killed off there. 2 shots for Ottawa on that. Larson takes over for Jari at this stage of the game. I thought Larson played okay. Not that Ottawa tested him a lot. I didn't think Ottawa really gave him a lot that was dangerous, anything that was more that he could handle. Hayes to Pickering, near miss. I thought Owen Pickering had a decent game. Gregg fans on one, and then there's an offensive zone penalty by Ridley Gregg. So Ridley Gregg had a rough night, missing the empty net, fanning on another, and then an offensive zone penalty taken after that. And it doesn't take very long. At 14:59, it takes a Penguins bounce, and Malkin gets the power play goal. It goes over Forsberg and in, so just skies right over him and bends down and under the post. It was a nice goal. But you can't plan that. Letang and Rust with the assists at 14:59. So suddenly we have a tie game, and you could feel the momentum had started to swing here. Penguins look for the lead. They press with 3 minutes left, and at 17:02, Malkin puts one in off Forsberg's glove. You might want that one back. That's one of those ones where I think Ullmark probably saves it. Raquel and Pickering with the assists, and suddenly the Penguins are up 3-2. Pinto has a net drive that's held. The Sens press to respond, but it stays 3-2 for Pittsburgh after 2 periods. Third period, there's an early press by the Penguins. They're kept to the outside. The Sens end up getting an early power play here. But the Penguins, they don't let them set up. That power play is killed off. Senators press after. So they had 4 shots on a power play there. But in the third period, Ottawa's power play wasn't really generating much. Tkachuk exited it. Looked like it was a shoulder, maybe an elbow. Either way, he'd come back in. Penguins draw a power play. And then 10 seconds later, it's 4-on-4. So they even it up. Crosby has a net feed that deflects out. This is when Tkachuk returns. Senators press at 5.5 minutes, but they can't get to the net. Penguins doing a much better job of protecting the net with Larson in there, I thought, than with Jari. But the team's play picked up as the game went along as well. Raquel's denied. The rebound's cleared. Things are pushy on a hold by Forsberg, and Ottawa gets the only penalty on that. So the Penguins go to the power play, and they score again on the power play. The Penguins' power play was a huge problem for them this past season. In the event that power play gets going, and this is why apparently they hired assistant coach David Quinn from San Jose, is that they really want to get this power play going. And it went tonight. Crosby scores. He tips one in from the side of the net. This is kind of on Shane Pinto too, though. Pinto stick breaks. Now, your standard move as a player is if your stick breaks and you're a forward, well, you still try to kill the penalty. He tried to go to the bench, so as he's leaving and his replacement's jumping on the ice, Pittsburgh gets the goal because now it's a 5-on-3 down low. So yeah, that happens. So that was I'm going to go ahead and say it was an unforced error by Pinto there. Imama then had a fight with Yannick. Poulin had a fight with McEwen. And so that's where Brady Tkachuk was kind of sweary from the bench. And he's right near the microphone, so I'd like to apologize to women, children, and people with ears that heard what was being said by Brady Tkachuk. If you take offense to that kind of language. I found it kind of funny and entertaining. But yeah, Brady, considering it's a preseason game and it doesn't really matter, nobody apparently told Tkachuk that, or he was just really upset with members of the Penguins and wanted to let them know that they're not on the Christmas list this year. Clevin then has a near miss on a rush. Clevin's going to have to, really keep his game at the top because with the way Yakemchuk's been playing this preseason, and I didn't see Yakemchuk wasn't in this game tonight, but Clevin's going to have to be that level above because otherwise Yakemchuk might take a spot. It could be Clevin's that Yakemchuk ends up taking, right? Jensen then takes a puck to the face. He was okay. I'm perfectly fine with the fact that now referees blow the whistle immediately when a player gets hit with a puck. I know there's some hockey purists that may not like it, but I think it's perfectly fine. As soon as a guy gets hit up high with a puck, you blow the whistle. You'd rather do that than have a guy get injured and a goal come out of a situation where a guy's down on the ice. This is why they call it that way now, because that has happened in the past. It was Matt Calvert years ago. And ever since then, it feels like the NHL said, okay, we don't want that visual of a guy being down on the ice and hurt and a puck going in the net. So if a guy takes the puck up high, blow the whistle. Cousins has a rush chance to save. The Senators press halfway through the period. You'll notice there's not a lot of notes after that. This game really got quiet. There's a crossbar for Raquel. The rebound's cleared. The Penguins, they knock a puck in after the whistle. I don't think Forsberg had it. I think that it was loose and that the referee just blew the whistle early. But I'm just saying it's preseason. There wasn't like a bunch of replays or anything. Teams are getting kind of sloppy in the final 5 minutes. The Sens press with 3.5 minutes left. They're kept away from the net. And eventually they pull the goalie, which leads to Evgeny Malkin getting the hat trick at 17:44. The hats did rain down on the ice. Again, it's a preseason game, so, those stats sadly don't work. And apparently Malkin said he didn't want to score goals in the preseason because he's only 2 goals away from 500 in his career, so he wants to save the goals for the regular season. And there he is with 3 in the preseason, and Crosby with 2. So the youngins showing up on the score sheet for Pittsburgh tonight in a 5-2 win. The Senators started off this game pretty well, but by the end, the Penguins were playing quite well. It's the Penguins' first win of the preseason, but again, it's the first game played by a lot of their veterans. For Ottawa, I believe this is their first loss of the preseason, so nothing to worry about. It's preseason, but yeah, the Penguins did press for another after they got that 5-2 lead, and they really made sure there was an exclamation point on this as much as you can when it's before the regular season gets started. So, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.